Alrighty, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Even though that is the way that I start my streams. Hello, everyone. Today, we got the long-awaited cutscene. There are currently 2 more major scenes lore-wise that need to happen in 9.1. And this is one of them. So, of course, spoilers ahead. If you play on the EU like I do, then this won't be available for you till tomorrow. For those sticking around, to put it in context, this week we're going to be dealing with the Ardenweald campaign. We're going to recruit the final Night Warriors of the past, and we're going to bring them all together in the hopes of trying to save Tyrande Wispwinds. Tyrande has gone through the Night Warrior ritual. Last time we saw her, she desperately tried to claim vengeance upon Sylvanas Windrunner, proclaiming to Elune, like, my life for hers, it is time. And in the end, Elune abandoned her and did not give her the kill. Ysera has placed her on ice. We go through this massive ritual. We call for the Winter Queen for aid in order to help us try and save Tyrande. And this moment happens. Now we know that the Winter Queen has a sister. We know that that sister is going to be revealed today. In the case of Elune, we have not actually ever seen Elune herself in the lore. We have gotten some imagery from the folks and fairy tales, which might be true. It might just be a legend amongst the people of Azeroth. My hopes for this cutscene is, of course, seeing Elune herself, which is going to be mind-blowing all on its own. And I'm curious to see if there's a reason given as to why Tyrande was not given the kill. Besides, we need to face Sylvanas in the raid. Because there has been a couple of different opinions about that. Some say that her mortal body can't take it anymore. Some say that there's a bigger plan for Sylvanas Windrunner and that Elune is aware of that. Some say that Elune herself has gotten under attack and that's why she was unable to empower Tyrande. I'm personally the biggest fan of the idea that Elune was not willing to trade Tyrande's life for that of Sylvanas, that she wasn't willing to give up on her favorite priestess. But we're gonna find out. I am super excited. Let's see what this cutscene is all about.
How dare you come here, sister? After our cries for aid went unheard, unanswered.
I heard your cries, felt your pain, and in the wake of tragedy, sent forth a cascade of souls to sustain you.
Oh, the great tree. All who perished there were claimed by the Maw.
Then
I'm sorry. Elune didn't know about the Maw. Elune was like, F those night elves, I gotta save Ardenweald. Oh, okay.
I have condemned my favorite children.
By our hand, we may yet guide their souls unto their spring. Starting with this one.
Tyrande invoked me. She must choose. Vengeance or renewal.
Okay, hold up. I need to watch that again. Because that is not the cutscene that I expected to happen. I need to watch that again, so hang on. To put it once again in context, we have Battle for Azeroth. In Battle for Azeroth, Sylvanas Windrunner decides that it's time to send a whole bunch of souls into the Maw. The Machine of Death has been broken by something. We know that it's been a red attack, but we're not exactly sure what happens. So every single soul is dragged in there. People like Bwonsamdi are a bit aware of what was going on. This is also something that was a part of Shadows Rising. So Elune's... Wait, hang on. I need to watch this again.
You come here, sister. After our cries for aid went unheard.
So they cried out for aid.
Unanswered.
I heard your cries, felt your pain.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that is about Ardenweald. The cycle is broken, right? The souls are no longer being distributed amongst the different realms, and instead of going to Ardenweald, where they're supposed to provide anima to keep them all going, hard choices had to be made. We've seen this in the Afterlife short with sacrificing Ursak. And they've been crying out for aid to her sister.
And in the wake of tragedy, sent forth the cascade of souls to sustain you.
Oh, the great tree. All who perished there were claimed by them all.
But she's not saying that she is the one. Is this my Dutch showing? Like she says, in the wake of tragedy.
And
in the wake of tragedy,
sent forth
the cascade of souls
to sustain you.
So, is that related to not turning the Night Elf spirits into wisps? Rather, she just let them send off into the Shadowlands? Because when Sylvanas Windrunner made the decision to burn down Teldrassil, Elune herself was aware of the event. She made sure that the Night Elves slumbered peacefully before the flames took them. But she didn't actually do anything to stop the fire, right? This is also something that Tyrande was really pissed about. Like, why did you abandon your people? And I demand that you give me this power to claim my vengeance.
Oh, the great tree. All who perished there.
But I'm gonna have to ask around. Like, do they suggest that Elune? Do they suggest? Because the idea is, why did Elune not save us from the fire and Sylvanas? She says, in the wake of tragedy, and in the wake of tragedy, I send forth the cascade of souls. So are they implying that Elune let the Night Elves burn? In order to help out Ardenweald? Or are they implying that Elune made sure that those souls went into the Shadowlands? Rather than wisps that remain on Azeroth. And how does that connect to some of the Night Elves deciding to come back and then serve the Banshee Queen? I have condemned my favorite children. Night Elves are her favorite children? Wow, Eluna's favorites?
By our hand,
Wow.
we may yet guide their souls unto their spring. Starting with this one.
That's a nice line, by the way. We might yet guide their souls onto their spring. So the way that they described Ardenweald is that it's the autumn and fall towards the Emerald Dreams, spring and summer. It's a cycle of life and death. It's a cycle of rebirth. In the meantime, the souls that all ended up in the Maw, well, not all of them, but most, a certain percentage, have been taken by us and brought back into Ardenweald. And we may yet guide their souls onto their spring. The next part of this questline is that you return to the heart of the forest, and they're like, oh yeah, our sigil, our purpose is reconnected. And
Starting with this.
we're gonna do the whole life and death cycle again. So basically, Ardenweald is doing what it's supposed to do.
Or renewal.
I am well confused about that first part, though. Okay, so Tyrande is given a choice here. Like, does she continue her path for vengeance? Or does she choose renewal? And here we have the tier that's going to be used in order to empower the Heart of the Forest. And Tyrande chooses the cycle of rebirth. She chooses renewal over vengeance. Now, My confusion during the questline, or during the PTR, was whether or not Tyrande still had the powers of the Night Warrior. And it does appear like she still has the powers of the Night Warrior. It's just that she's no longer being consumed by it. Interesting. All right, I need to go ask on Discord. I need to go ask. I need to go talk to people. All right, so welcome back, everybody. As I just had a couple of interesting conversations on Twitter and whatnot. Thank you very much, Teldrassil, Bellular, and everybody else that jumped on the Twitter post. Teldrassil had an epic find, which I would highly recommend to check them out for. I don't just want to copy it, but they had an epic find on all of this. But in conclusion, I felt like a bad person for laughing at that revelation moment, like Elune could have saved the elves, but she didn't, and she didn't know about the Maw, and she just sent them there. I felt like a bad person for laughing at that, but that does seem to be the indication. Or the implication. Or that does seem... Okay, so I get the part about Elune sending off the spirits of the elves into the Shadowlands. She heard the cries of Ardenweald, she wanted to help her sister. I get that part. But I get that part because that's the point I was trying to make. Because there's this whole cycle of reincarnation going on in Ardenweald. So even if you die, yeah, it might look tragic on the outside, but you get to chill in the forest, you can take on an animal form, and when you're ready, you can just go back, right? So I get that part. That to Elune, this is a shock and surprise that all the spirits suddenly go to the Maw. That she has forsaken her favorite children. Which must suck for the other Night Warriors of the past, that they're not their favorite children. And they just had to die because they invoked the Night Warrior. But that's neither here nor there. What I don't get... What I don't get is why Elune didn't question just a little bit, because she heard the cries from Ardenweald. She heard that something was wrong in Ardenweald. Why didn't Elune even question for a little bit as to what was going on there? Maybe something's up in the Shadowlands. And fair enough, the jailer works from the shadows, and not everybody was aware of what was going on. But that doesn't mean that nobody knew. Bwonsamdi figured out there's a big portion in Shadows Rising with the Troll Zakan, where Bwonsamdi is like, there's been something going on in the afterlife for a while now, and he literally saves Zakan from the Maw. So Bwonsamdi was aware, which was after the burning of Teldrassil, fair enough. But you imagine that a being like Elune knows better, maybe? I don't know. It's a bit of a... That's another thing that happens in the Shadowlands quite often. We learn information and we just never pass on that information. For example, we learn at the start of the Shadowlands that the Maw is broken, and that all the souls that come into the Shadowlands, that they immediately go into the Maw. Apparently, we never pass on that information to the Kyrian, because then in the Kyrian campaign, they're all shocked and surprised that all the souls are going to the Maw. So apparently, we don't talk to these people. But yeah, conclusion to the cutscene. Like, per usual with these cutscenes, I love the visuals. I would have loved to have seen an actual Elune in there. That's what I was really excited about. But Elune is not here. She speaks through Tyrande. Tyrande choosing renewal is, if you play PTR, is not a massive surprise. We already knew the conclusion after this. I'm surprised that Tyrande is not more pissed at these turn of events. Like, your goddess could have either saved you during the burning of Teldrassil, and instead decided to sing you a sweet little lullaby so that the genocide of your people didn't hurt that much. Or she is just completely unaware and incompetent and should not be worshipped by anyone, because she was like, oh, I'll just ferry all these souls into the Shadowlands and it's gonna be fine. In essence, what I'm trying to say is we should all worship Bwonsamdi. Everybody should just worship Bwonsamdi, is what I'm trying to say. But all in all, I like the cutscene. Like, it's gorgeous. I love the music score. I love the voice acting. It's a nice cutscene, that's for sure. Continuing upon this, the question is also, like, where's the next patch going to take us? And for the longest while, we've been wondering if we're going to go into the domain of life. We've dealt with the domain of death. Are we now going to go into the domain of life? I would find that really interesting. Then again, we got to keep in mind with production delays due to the whole world. If they're still on the same schedule when it comes to storytelling, I've mentioned a couple of times in 9.1 that it seems like they're just wrapping up things because they can wrap them up. And in certain areas, they're not really built up. But I don't know. I don't know the inner workings in that regard. So the live domain, I would find it really interesting, but potentially we just follow the jailer into First One Lands. Something like that. We're gonna find out. But yeah. Toronto made her choice. Elune is not a goddess that you should be worshipping. The burning of Teldrassil, man. The burning of Teldrassil. It just keeps coming back, isn't it? Burning of Teldrassil. What a thing. How different things could have been, right? Trying to think, like I've heard some people comment, like this implies that what Sylvanas did was actually part of a greater plan. If that's the implication here, I hope not. That Elune was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna send my children to the chopping block. I really hope not. But it's a bit up in the air, to be honest. Like what exactly does Elune mean with she didn't... Like, in the wake of tragedy, so it already happened, the tragic moment happened, she sent forth the cascade of souls rather than... So, because they would have gone, I mean, unless they're talking about turning them into little wisps. Otherwise, she actually says, like, in the wake of tragedy, burning of Teldrassil, instead of trying to save these souls, I decided to send them all your way. That's my take on it. Instead of saving the Night Elves, I decided to sing them a lullaby. And here you go. I thought that this anima would save your domain. And then we could have done the whole reincarnation thing, not wondering about why you were in trouble to begin with. Dum-dums. Dum-dums all around. But that's my take. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? What do you think of the cutscene? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, until next time, see ya. Oh, that was a seductive one.